For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, I told y'all yesterday about how Donald Trump has actually ordered U.S. troops to essentially step aside and allow for the powerful Turkish militia to come in to northern Syria and basically have these air and ground offensives against Kurdish forces. Now, this is obviously a switch of foreign policy for our military because the U.S. and U.S. troops have actually been supporting Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces for some time now. So a lot of people see this as a betrayal. Definitely the Kurds out there see this as that. And this appears to have happened after Trump had a conversation with Tayyip Recep Erdogan, the president of Turkey. This conversation apparently happened on Sunday, but then Trump has insisted that he's gotten Turkey to limit the scope of their fight against the Kurds, basically saying in a tweet yesterday that if I find in my great and unmatched wisdom Turkey to do anything that I consider off limits, I will destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey. Those are some very powerful words, especially if it happening through Twitter, which we cannot have. Like, come on, we talking war shit on through tweets. Make sure y'all sign that petition. Get Donald Trump on Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube, or go straight to change.org. Green Wall and Graduation. People from both sides of the aisle are against Trump on this shit. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. You see this shit. Now, the House Democrats have actually expanded their impeachment inquiry into Donald Trump, which started with a whistleblower basically notifying the people about how Trump had used the military aid to solicit Ukraine into opening up an investigation against his presidential candidate opponent, potentially Joe Biden, and his son Hunter Biden. And this whistleblower now, I mean, people are in fear of this person's safety and them being revealed, and they're trying to figure out a way where they could get him to testify and all of that without revealing his identity. Now, that's another story, right? But this inquiry is expanded where the House Democrats are subpoenaed documents from the Office of Management and Budget and the Pentagon. But George Kent, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, was actually supposed to meet yesterday with have a deposition with 3 House committees, and he bailed on that shit. Now, Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador of the European Union, was actually supposed to have a deposition today with the same committees, but the State Department this morning actually said that they are not allowing him to testify. They ordered him not to. So this is seen as like people are up in arms, especially like House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff, who's reading this impeachment inquiry, seeing this as like, yo, this is clearly obstruction of justice. Like, what the fuck going on? And Gordon Sondland, mind you, this is somebody who's like a wealthy hotelier and real estate magnate who was tapped by Trump to be the ambassador to the European Union after donating $1 million to Trump's inaugural campaign. You see how this pans out though. Green Wall and Graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Make sure y'all sign that petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube, or go straight to change.org. I know my kids are fucked up, you know what I'm saying? It was raw and uncut. And that's exactly how I'm gonna get y'all the news. But don't worry, I'm gonna straighten this out soon enough. But check this out though. So Manhattan District Court Judge Victor Marrero actually has rejected President Trump's claim, or his attempt to conceal his tax returns. Now, let me put this in context, because last month I told y'all about how the Manhattan DA, Manhattan, New York, for those who are fucking stupid or live under a rock, Manhattan DA last month actually issued a subpoena to Trump's accounting firm to get his tax returns to basically investigate into the hush money payments that were made to porn star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign, right? So Trump has tried to like conceal these under the guise that basically as president he's beyond criminal investigation, and Victor Marrero in this 75-page ruling basically rejected that claim, saying like, you know, he finds that claim to be repugnant to this state's governmental, to this nation's governmental structure and its constitutional values. Trump and his team immediately went to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to appeal this, and they actually issued an administrative stay, keeping his tax documents secret, at least for now. We'll see how this pans out. Green Wall and Red. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. So in Sudamerica and Ecuador is actually jumping over there. Now I told y'all they're actually in their 6th day of anti-government protests, protesting these austerity measures that took place, where basically Presidente Lenin Moreno actually removed this decades-old fuel subsidy, which caused energy spikes of 120%. And this was all in compliance with the $4.2 billion deal from the International Monetary Fund. So people are obviously up in arms. You had thousands of people marching. 20,000 indigenous people were said to march on the capital today. The capital is Quito. But Moreno actually announced that they were moving government operations to the southern city of Guayaquil, and that he was accusing political leaders of trying to issue a coup, and he vowed not to restore these fuel subsidies. Now, obviously, there's indigenous people and labor unions that are like teaming up to basically bring this drama to the government. But and keep in mind that Moreno actually issued a state of emergency, and that's what I told y'all about a few days ago, where now police are actually allowed to enter homes without warrants. They've been at least 500 people arrested, or about 500 people arrested. So, stay woke. Green Wall and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. So over the weekend in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, hundreds of thousands of protesters actually hit the streets in retaliation to the president Evo Morales' response to the fires that have actually been hitting the rainforest in Bolivia, mostly northern Bolivia, and Santa Cruz, with Santa Cruz as that province being hit the hardest. Now, it's said that these fires were set intentionally to make way for agriculture, agribusiness, the same way that it's been done in Brazil, in the Amazon rainforest. And over the past couple of months, 10 million acres have actually been set on fire. But luckily, in recent days, heavy rain had actually quelled the fire. So thank God. But unfortunately, there's been a drought, and this drought has been exacerbated by the rising global temperatures, as well as the lack of forest canopy. So we'll see if those protests that happened this past weekend turn into anything. Green Wall and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, I've been telling y'all about how Extinction Rebellion, the climate activists, have actually been making noise globally, and nothing has changed actually. But you're talking about like over 700 people have actually been arrested in activist demonstrations and road shutdowns and demonstrations that take place in front of important political buildings and all over the world. You're talking about like 300 people being arrested in London, like 90 people being arrested in New York City, really after they staged like a die-in outside at Wall Street and sprayed fake blood on that bull outside the New York Stock Exchange. You're talking about places like Sydney, Australia, Madrid, Chile, all over the country. People have been protesting loudly and proudly, calling for action for climate change. So Extinction Rebellion, shout out to them, man. Green Wall and Graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Make sure y'all sign that petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description. If you're watching this on YouTube, or go straight to change.org and look up Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Spelled exactly how it sounds. Laid out exactly why he should be removed from that platform for violating Twitter policies to putting us and people abroad in danger, U.S. troops in danger. Like, we're not about to go off war over this motherfucker's tweets. Like, we gotta put an end to that shit. Now, on Monday, the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, actually opened up a new term where they were hearing oral arguments for whether certain states could get rid of the insanity plea in criminal prosecutions. Now, and for those in the streets, like when they say somebody's 730, you know what I'm saying? That mean they crazy. They could plead that in order to get away with, murder, literally. So, you know what I'm saying? That's keep that in mind. That's what's going on. But notably, Clarence Thomas, the only black Supreme Court justice that we have, or whatever, 71-year-old Clarence Johnson, people consider him an Uncle Tom, and a rapist after that Anita Hill accusation back in 1991. He wasn't there, and they said he was he left. He actually had an undisclosed illness. So we'll see what happens. But that leaves the Supreme Court at a 4-4. With a possible 4-4 split on decisions. We'll see how this pans out. The Green Wall and Graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Make sure y'all sign that petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. You can find it in the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. Or go straight to change.org and look it up. Now, Julian Castro, the Democratic presidential candidate, actually had walked 12 asylum seekers to the port entry of Brownsville, Texas. These asylum seekers were supposed to remain in Mexico as part of Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. They're supposed to remain in the border city of Matamoros, Mexico. But this was a direct challenge to the Remain in Mexico policy. But all 12 people that Julian Castro brought were turned away by Customs and Border Protection. Now, these included a Guatemalan woman and her relatives, as well as 9 LGBTQ members, all from Cuba, Honduras, and Guatemala. So Julian Castro then goes to Twitter and he basically said that by law, these migrants were supposed to be allowed entry into that because many of them have reported being threatened while in Matamoros. So, Green War and Graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. So, on Monday at Georgetown University's Law School, they actually had an immigration policy conference whose keynote speaker was Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Kevin McAleenan. So, he's the acting secretary. That means he was chosen, not voted in, picked by Trump and all of that, but in place, right? So, he's over obviously the immigration policies and all of that, whatever. A lot of people, you're talking about dozens of campus groups had actually, as well as hundreds of students and faculty and alumni actually petitioned to have him removed from being the keynote speaker. Still had that position, and once he was introduced, the crowd just started shouting and rolling out banners like "hate is not normal" and "stand with immigrants" and all of that, whatever. And he really couldn't be heard over the shouting. And even while he continued to try to talk, they started shouting out names of immigrant children who have died in this immigration process. And he pretty much left after that. So it's unfortunate. I do think even though people might be the ops, you still should listen to what they have to say because there might be some healthy dialogue that could be had. But at the same time, hey we as a people are God. You know what I'm saying? God has a way of telling us, giving us messages. It could be a sign that you're in the wrong, bro. Green War and Graduation. For the other New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. So, PayPal has actually exited its participation with Facebook's plan to come up with its own digital currency called Libra. Actually, now Facebook actually had plans on getting with gig economy companies, credit card companies, and banks to actually create this digital currency, this cryptocurrency, hoping to reshape the world's financial system. So this is actually seen as a big blow to Facebook. But we'll see how this turns out. Is PayPal's exit? PayPal kind of going out of style if you ask a lot of people, especially since Cash App is actually coming into play. So we'll see how this turns out though. Facebook has been pretty resilient in its progress as far as being a digital giant. So they might still fuck around and roll out Libra, and it still might be the shit. But it is seen as a major blow on the finance side. Green War and Graduation. Well, though the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. You see the shit. Now, I told y'all, California Governor Gavin Newsom he's been seeming like he's just on the right side of history with this shit. And this is yet another scenario. He signed into law, a law Monday that basically will make HIV medication accessible to all people without a prescription. So to all Californians, that is. So it's expected, obviously, to greatly increase the access to the medication. He said in a statement, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but all people deserve the right to PrEP and PEP treatment, two treatments that are known to have transformed our fight against HIV and AIDS. So, we'll see. Hopefully, this suppresses the spread of HIV and AIDS. You know what I'm saying? We'll see how this turns out though. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Make sure you sign that petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. Now, over in Hong Kong, Chief Executive Carrie Lam, she actually on Monday refused to basically remove using Chinese military off of the table of options in trying to quell the pro-democracy protests that have been taking place. And mind you, these protests have now been defying a ban that she put into place last week that basically is banning using face masks, whether for protection from tear gas or for protecting their identity. Now, over in the U.S. though, we actually had Houston Rockets general manager in the NBA, Daryl Morey, who actually issued who had put out a tweet that basically said, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." And then the NBA actually issued an apology to China after Chinese top broadcaster basically said that they were going to ban NBA preseason games from being broadcasted over there. So obviously with some money on the table, NBA issued an apology for it. Then China is also like banned South Park from being showed after an episode aired that basically showed it was an episode of South Park that basically talked about made fun of how Hollywood tailors its content in order to approve or get around Chinese censorship. And you know, Hong Kong banned South Park for that. Now the co-creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they actually issued a fake apology on Twitter talking about, you know, like the NBA, we welcome Chinese censors into our homes and our hearts. Like we too love money more than freedom and democracy. So Green Wall and graduation.